Okay. So long as the connection is okay, then it should be fine.
Khair, inshallah. Let me start with the niyat from Haddad.
Fadal.
1 second. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. نوينا التعلم والتعليم تذكر وتذكير ونفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه آمين اللهم آمين. I intend to study and to teach, to take and give reminders, benefit and assistance, and to inspire myself and others to hold fast to the book of Allah and the sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to call to guidance and direct to goodness, seeking continence of Allah, His pleasure, nearness, and reward. Ameen. Allahumma ameen. Allah. And Fadl said, yes, this week is today's session is the last session before Ramadan, and then we will continue after Ramadan, inshallah. Fadl said is the stage is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we continue our discussion in the Risalatul Jami'ah of Imam Ahmad bin Zein al-Habsyi. And I don't need to remind others, but as well as myself, about how the text here is written by a very conscious and cautious scholar who is consummate in his knowledge. So when he writes and said that these works of his is written, this particular one is composed as a summary of the works of Imam al-Ghazali. Certainly in particular the book of Ihya and its family, like the Arba'in fi Usuluddin, the Minhajul Abidin, as well as the Bidayatul Hidayah. So when we are reading this work, we have always to keep in mind the intention of the author, so that we may emulate the intention. And his intention for us, his dua for us, when he wrote this work, and when we read this work, and for those who are reading it for others, is that we are to become alim zahiran wa batinan, that we are people who are knowers in the external as well as the internal sense of the word. Externally, in the sense that we can practice our religion as per the requirements that has been put forth by the jurists, in the sense that we fulfill the requirements. And internally, it includes, of course, the theological component, that our belief is correct, and at the same time, it involves matters of the heart, that we feel the spiritual presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the last time when we spoke about Tawheed, or the unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have discussed that He created death and life. He created man and the act of obedience and disobedience. He created also for man health as well as sickness, and everything in between. وَجَمِعَ الْكَوْنِ وَمَا فِيهِ, and everything in existence and whatever it contains. He is also the creator of all beings, and that which they do, their actions, is part and parcel of His creation. And He is the one that has portioned for them their arzaq, their sustenance, the means through which they subsist within the temporality of their existence. And He has also determined the end of their life, whether it be whether they expire through natural means, or they expire through untimely means in human reckoning. And the death, yes, once it comes, it neither increases nor decreases. Similarly, one's sustenance as appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala neither increases nor decreases as per His plan. As per human understanding of it, as per human experience, yes, of course, we look forward to the next time that we are being renewed, yes, because we live within the temporal limits. So therefore, we experience hunger and satiatedness. We experience tiredness, and we experience having been well rested. But within the general scheme of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge, everything has also already been determined. As per the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the pen has been lifted and the ink has been dried. So today, inshallah, وَلَا يَحْدُثُ حَادِثٌ إِلَّا بِقَضَاءِ وَقَدَرِهِ وَإِرَادَتِهِ. Nothing happens, nothing is originated in this world except through the appointment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and through his will. Now we enter into the next series of discussion, which is the discussion pertaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his attributes. وَأَنَّهُ تَعَالَى حَيٌّ عَالِمٌ مُرِيدٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is living, alimun, knowing, muridun, that he wills, qadirun, he is powerful, mutakallimun, he speaks, sami'un, he hears, basirun, he sees. Ya'lamu kha'inatal a'yun wa ma tukhfi as-sudur. He knows the betrayal of the eye or the betrayal of sight, and he knows what is hidden in human chests. Wa ya'lamu sirra wa akhfa. He knows the secrets of things and that which is hidden. Khaliqu kulli shay'in wa huwa al-wahidul qahhar. He is the one who has created everything, and he is one, all compelling, all sovereign. So today we begin with the first of the attributes, which is hayyu. Here, syara' al-muallif rahimahullah bidhikri sifatil ma'ani sab'ah. What the author has done here is to point us to the existence of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the discussion of the theologians, the Maturidis and the Ash'aris, as well as the Mu'tazilah, yes, they differ in terms of their understanding of these attributes. According to the understanding of the Mu'tazilah, they deny the existence of the attributes altogether. They say that the affirmation of the existence of the attributes of God would entail the existence of a plurality of eternals. In other words, if you affirm that God possesses the attribute of knowledge, for example, yes, or that if he possessed the attribute of power, so according to them, if you affirm the existence of knowledge and power as a reality, then they are as the sharik of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala waliyad billah. Meaning to say, according to them, then that means you affirm the existence of the essence as well as the attributes. So therefore, they say that this is to repeat the error of the Christians who affirm on top of the existence of the essence of God, the existence of the Holy Spirit, and so on. Well, this is the understanding of the Mu'tazilah. According to them, there is the essence alone. Now, the position of the Ash'ariyah and the position of the Maturidiyah amongst the Ahlul Sunnah Imams is not that these attributes are to be conceived as a plurality of eternals, as if to say they subsist on their own, separable from the essence. Not like that. Yes, according to the Ash'ariyah, the existence of the attributes are as ma'anin, yes, ma'anin, meaning to say meanings. Now this word ma'na in Arabic is very interesting, because to say that somebody possesses something in ma'na, yes, is to distinguish the meaning again from somebody who possesses something in form. Yes, let us say a person who lives, let us say, from his school, the distance is maybe 500 meters. Yes, 500 meters. And then another person who lives from the same school, the distance of say 10 kilometers. the person who lives 10 kilometers away possesses a vehicle, yes, let us say a car or a motorbike, yes, that he can use to arrive at the intended school. So the form of the vehicle in this case is a motorbike, yes, with 2 wheels, or a car with 4 wheels. Now this person who lives 500 meters away, or maybe less, let us say 100 or 200 meters away from the school, he may not possess a vehicle to arrive at the school in form, yes, يعني في الصورة ولكن في معنى, but in the reality, in a purport of that, yes, in meaning, he possesses a means to arrive at his intention. Or let us say, the distinction between meaning and form is understood in another way. Let us say that a person possesses together in his household a spoon, a fork, and a knife. Yes, and then another person doesn't possess either spoon or knife, or rather either spoon or fork, but has something that combines the both. I believe it's called a spork. Yes, it's something that you can take soup with, and it's also pointy at the top. So the person complains, I don't have either spoon or fork. Yes, because the spork differs from either spoon or fork in form, but in meaning, he possesses both. Yes, so that's the distinction between having meaning of something and form. So the Ash'ariyah, they affirm the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of ma'ani, yes, in terms of meaning. Yes, and they further distinguish between ma'ani and ma'nawi, meaning to say, when they do, they distinguish between the fact that he knows and that he has knowledge. Certainly, a person who knows has knowledge, yes, just as a person who sees has sight, yes, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ascribes of himself these perfections. Yes, it is difficult, yes, to negate them, because the form in the Quran says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sami'un basirun, that he is hearing and he is seeing. Wa huwa alimun, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all-knowing. Yes, you find that in the Quran also, sami'un alim. You find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers himself, yes, as possessing ilmu, yes, knowledge, yes, wasi'a, Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum la ta'khudhuhu sinatun wala naum, meaning to say the opposite of being conscious is mentioned there. Wala ya'uduhu ya'lamu ma baina aydihim wa ma khalfahum wa la yuhithuna bi shay'in min ilmihi, and they do not encompass anything of his knowledge. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to himself as possessing the attribute of knowledge. So therefore, the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jami'ah, yes, they have been called by the enemies the Sifatiyah. They are people who affirm the reality of the Sifat. But in terms of affirmation of the Sifat, yes, of God, they do not liken it to the aspect of knowledge in human beings. In other words, when they say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, or that he is that he speaks, his speech is not that of the nature of man's speech. Like in the Aqaid and-Nasafi, it was clarified that Allah speaks through his attribute of speech, and it is not of the type or the kind that requires, if written than alphabets, nor is it that requires a sound. Yes, unlike human speech. Yes, and as for his knowledge, yes, it was not preceded by ignorance. It was not preceded by ignorance, nor is it conceivable that it can be removed from the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, the Mu'allif is now speaking about the sifat, the attributes, yes, al-ma'ani, al-sab'ah, that in meaning, yes, or in Professor Zeini's translation of the Lata'if, which he shared with us recently, he prefers to use the word positive attributes with regards to the ma'ani, positive attributes. What does positive mean? Not in the sense of optimism, not that type of positive, not the opposite of negative. When we mean by positive here is to say that in a sentence, something can be posited in the sense that a person can be predicated to have that something. So it is a positive thing. We need to say it's not something that is not there. Yes. Professor Attas in the Argument to the Metaphysics of Islam says he possesses eternal attributes. And these attributes are not him in the sense that when you look at, say, the attribute of knowledge, you don't say knowledge is God. When you look at power, you don't say that power is God. Nor is it conceived to be other than him, meaning to say as if they are on their own as knowledge, as if they are plurality of eternals, but rather they coalesce within the essence as an unimaginable unity, as an unimaginable unity, meaning to say that the opposite of all this would be impossible to be predicated of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even the ulama of the Ahl Sunnah with regards to the sifatul ma'ani, they say that a person who denies the existence of the attributes, yes, he becomes a fasik. But it is not necessarily said of the person who denies the reality of the attributes that he is kafir, unless he affirms the linguistic conclusion. Let us say that if a person were to ask, does your God possess the attribute of knowledge? Then we say, no, our God doesn't have attributes. Then, so should the person pursue the question and said, well, if he doesn't have the attribute of knowledge, is he ignorant then? Now, if we say that if we say, well, by implication, if he doesn't have attributes and knowledge is one of the attributes that he doesn't have, then therefore lack of knowledge means ignorance. Now that's kufr. Yes, to say that God is not knowledgeable is kufr. Rather that the essence of God doesn't have knowledge, or doesn't have power, doesn't have will. So to affirm the opposite of the ma'ani of the positive attributes as being predicated of God, now that leads to what we call kufr. Yes. But if you have a different way of wording it, yes, we say that, well, when we say that he is, what is important is that you say that he's knowing, he's seeing, and so on. Now, so these are 7, yes. As it is life, al-hayat, wal-ilm, knowledge, al-irada, will, al-qudrah, power, al-kalam, speech, al-sama', hearing, al-basar, sight. And why are they called sifatul ma'ani, or positive attributes, or attributes in meaning? Yes, not necessarily in form, because it is affirmed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that these attributes exist within him, yes, or within the essence. Why? Because it is appropriate for the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, it is necessary with regards to the essence, because we have affirmed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of the universe. And we say the universe possesses athar, the effects of intelligence, or rather the effects of knowledge. So it is impossible to be predicated of the source of existence that he should not be knowledgeable. So we say that it's proper to the attribute, it is proper to the essence of the universe that the essence should also be knowing. Yes. وَتُسْمِي أَيْضًا بِصِفَاتِ الذَّاتِيَةِ. It is the attribute or the character of the essence, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's essence. وَبِصِفَاتِ الْوُجُودِيَّةِ. It is also proper to describe that these attributes, which is qa'imatin bimawsuf, that subsists within that which is described, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mujibatin lahu hukman, that it is wajib, it is necessarily predicated of him, yes, Kakaunuhu qadiran. Yes, like he's being described as powerful. He's being described as knowledgeable. So therefore, if he is knowledgeable, he must possess knowledge. If he is powerful, he must possess power. Yes. So the key understanding the sifatul ma'ani here is the fact that it is inconceivable that the essence should be separated from that attribute. Yes. Meaning to say that that's why when people study sifat 20, yes, the 20 sifat, or as a framework to understand theology, they begin with studying what is called hukum akal, yes, the rule governing the intellect and reasoning, and then they proceed to discuss the meaning of necessarily existing, impossibly existing, and that which is contingent. It could either exist or not exist. And then they proceed to discuss, yes, the sifat wajib, yes, that which is necessarily descriptive of God, and then mustahil, that which is impossible to be predicated of God, and that which is jaiz, that could be, yes, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is mumkin, which is possibly predicated of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So understand this, that the framework that has been developed by the Imams of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jami'ah, in particular those within the Ash'ari tradition, yes, in particular those within the Ash'ari and the Maturidi tradition, is a beautiful framework through which we can have a very firm grasp of the nature of Tawheed without succumbing to any anthropomorphism, and then to say the errors of the school of Tajsim. What is the errors of the school of Tajsim? They are people, the anthropomorphists, those who liken God to his creation due to not possessing a sound framework to this this highly abstract discussion. But with the framework of Imam Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari, as it was developed by the later scholars, you can grasp these things. Yes, so you understand the key terms like sifat ma'ani, yes, and then you understand sifat, what is called sifat salbiyah, and then sifat nafsiyah. You understand these basic proper terms, and then you apply it to your understanding of the most holy of essences, or rather the existing essence, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do we have any questions so far? Because this is a bit abstract. It's okay if you want to ask now. Otherwise, I will proceed with the attributes. Okay, if no questions, we can continue, inshallah. So the first of the 7 attributes, and remember, when we say 7 attributes, you can either describe them as the ma'ani sense, meaning to say the attributes in themselves, such as knowledge, or you can describe it in the ma'nawi sense, as God, or the essence is as described with it, like he is knowing. Yes. So Allah subhanahu. So the first is hayat. What is this life? It is when it comes to a description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the attribute of life refers to an eternal attribute, since it is inconceivable that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or anything should exist without there being life. But in the case of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, since his existence is eternal without beginning, so his property or his attribute of living should also be eternal together with the essence. Now, the attribute of life is said to be the basis of other attributes, such as hearing, sight, and knowledge. So it's inconceivable that a being should possess knowledge but should not be living, or that a being should be hearing but should not be living, or that it should be seeing but it doesn't possess the attribute of life. So therefore, life is the primary attribute upon which you can conceive of knowledge, sight, and hearing. Imam al-Ghazali said, "Man thabata ilmuhu wa qudratu, thabata bid-darura hayatu." If any being, yes, can be described as possessing knowledge and that which power, then necessarily that being must also be said to have possessed life. Yes, because it is inconceivable that any being could be said to be powerful, knowledgeable, intending something, and then a person or a being who can administer, who can control something, but at the same time that being is not living. So therefore, life is the basis upon which you can have all the other attributes. Because if you were to say that, according to Imam Al-Ghazali, you know that this being is knowing and so on, without possessing the attribute of life, then the existence of life in animals, yes, despite you seeing the animals moving about, yes, and resting and performing a great many tasks, yes, you can doubt that it possesses life. Yes, meaning to say that that attribute becomes dubitable. In fact, you can even say that of you can even say that of, say, farmers and you know, workers or other craftsmen, that you know, you doubt whether such, you know, whether such men and women, you doubt whether they are living. Yes. So Imam Al-Ghazali is saying that the form of argumentation is called the reductio ad absurdum, because you know it is absurd to claim that animals that possesses, you know, these attributes should not also possess the attribute of life, or craftsmen and farmers, gardeners, that they should be doing what they are doing, but at the same time they are not living. And this, I think, for our time, it creates a very puzzle, I suppose, for philosophers, because these days machines do a great many things. Yes, machines can be said to do a great many things. There are, in fact, these days it's becoming more popular to speak about what is called artificial intelligence, just as you speak about artificial life. Does it negate Imam Al-Ghazali's argument? Yes. Does it negate Imam Al-Ghazali's argument that which is possessing of movement and energy and action must also possess life? Because you see, you know, that printers can you know, the not a person who works in a printing shop, but the printer, the machine, yes, that printers can perform, say, certain tasks, and you have other things that you know, that are machines, like robots, or you know, things that uses AI. They can perform tasks which animals can also perform, or men can also perform, but they're not said to be living. Well, we say the answer to this is that you know, just as that there is a distinction between artificial intelligence and real intelligence. Yes, there is a distinction between you know, artificial knowing as well as true knowing. Certainly, there is the distinction between artificial life and real life. Yes, artificially, yes, that machine can be said to possess life, but we say a principle of movement. But that movement is not the same as the movement of living beings. Yes, life, you know, you can say, you know, like a robot or any machine that runs on batteries. You know, say if the battery were to run out, is it the same like you know, when your energy or when your life runs out? Well, it's different, because the principle of within beings is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not merely, you know, an organismic principle, or rather a matter of coordination and organization of the cells and so on. There is life as an attribute is still a mystery, you know, even to the scientists and the philosophers. But at the very least, yes, we say therefore that. But even in the artificial discussion, yes, you still talk about, yes, the you know, the so-called life in the artificial sense as the basis of the artificial intelligence, meaning to say that there must be some form of power or energy that is the basis upon which you can have the simple or complex artificial intelligence and artificial actions. Second to that is this notion of alim. Yes, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is knowing. So he possesses the attribute of knowledge. What is the attribute of knowledge when it comes to God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is an eternal attribute. And this eternal attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it encompasses every known thing. Yes, encompasses, yes, in a manner that surrounds, that encompasses the totality of that which is known. Yes, ala ma huwa alayhi duna sabaqal khafa. And it is in a manner that it is not preceded by ignorance of the reality of things. Yes, unlike, with human beings, isn't it? You have a child who's growing up, either you have a son or a daughter. When she or he was a baby, you didn't know certain things about him or her. You can imagine what she might be like when she grows up. Yes, when he grows up. But how would you know, how she would be like when she's a teenager, when she's an adolescent, and then when she's a young adult? Yes, her personality. And those things you come to know as a result of observation, as a result of learning. So there is a moment in which these things were not known to you. Even your very own life, yes, you don't know at some point, whether you are going to meet a certain person. And then at some other point, your life becomes unimaginable without the person. So there was a period in which these things were hidden, and then you come to know them. But with regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has always known all these things without the precedence of ignorance, without observation, and without study, yes, to know the realities of things. Yes, and then it is also in a sense that encompasses all known aspects of the thing, as well as what is unknown to other beings. Because we may know a person to a certain level, yes, because we can never really know any person, even ourselves, yes, in the encompassing sense. And we may think of ourselves as being very patient person, but who knows, one day in a long queue, and then somebody cuts the queue, we suddenly feel anger to the extent that we cannot control it. Now that is something we discovered about ourselves. So therefore, it is our knowledge of ourselves is not encompassing. We may have a good idea based on previous observation, but there remains aspects of yourself that you do not know completely about, not to say other people and other things. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, huwa ali alimun, yes, He is all-knowing of all ma'lumat, of all things which can be known. Muhitun bi kulli makhluqat. He encompasses all creation, all of His creation. Nothing is omitted from His knowledge, even to the size of an atom, be it in the heavens or upon the earth. He even knows, yes, the smallest dark or black colored ant upon a small black stone in the darkness of the night. Yes, He knows asir, He knows the secrets of things, and that which is even more hidden than the secret. Yes, and He is, or everything is evident to Him from the external to the internal. He knows the movements of the whisperings of your heart. Yes, harakatul khawatir, wa khafiyatul sarair. He knows that which is hidden from the secrets of men. Yes, bi'ilmin qadim, through a knowledge which is eternal, without beginning. Lam yazal, and He never ceases. He never ceases to be described, yes, by that attribute from eternity to everlastingness. La bi'ilmin mutajaddidin hasilin. It is not through a knowledge which is renewed, yes, which is updated. There is no need for an update in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge. Yes, but for us, we are ever in need of constant updates, yes, of every known person, of every known thing. Yes, we need constant updates, yes, whether or not it is still functioning, it is still working, what is the status of your relationship with a person, you need to always renew it. yes, through displacement and so on. As it is said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, wa huwa, and he, yes, over all things is all knowing. Kulli shay'in alim. Ala ya'lamu man khalaqa wa huwa al-latiful khabir. Does not the one who create, yes, does he not know? Whereas he is the subtle and he is the all-knowing, khabir. He is all-knowing over everything. Yes, he is ever informed. Yes, without the need of an informant, without the need of an informant, without the need of the reports of those who are reporting. Everything remains within his power and continues within his power. The third attribute is that which is called muridun. Yes, or meaning to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sometimes described as desiring in English, or willing, let us say. So therefore the attribute is called will, yes, or the desire, meaning to say the intent for something to happen. This is also sifatun azaliyah, an eternal attribute. Yata'ti biha takhsis wal ilm. However, the action, or yes, the action that transmits from the attribute of the will is the specification from all the possibilities, yes, within his knowledge as to what will be in the realm of creation and what will remain in non-existence. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for everything that exists, for every mumkinah, yes, for everything that exists and subsists, he is the originator in terms of the will. Meaning to say everything that exists, nothing escapes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge. He is not like any human king, human sovereign, human, human leader. Just because it is, however powerful a human leader may be, let us say he has a very effective, he has a very effective bureaucracy, a very effective staff. And this staff, always updates him on the happenings of what is happening within his nation. Even then, it's impossible for him to know everything. It is possible that, the staff may betray him. Yes, they have a story, about the, the times, it's in one of the novels about about Russia during the time of Stalin. Yes, one of the activists who fought for communism in Russia, who knew Stalin, who has an idea of Stalin from his youth, or who observed propaganda about Stalin, was surprised that they were forced to undertake certain tasks. They said that Comrade Stalin, must not know this. Surely, if he had known this, he wouldn't allow for these things to happen like that. But this sort of thing, as these weaknesses when it comes to mankind, is impossibly predicated of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because not only does he know everything, everything that happens is also that which follows his will. Na'am. فَلِلَّهِ تَعَالَى مُرِيدٌ لِأَفْعَالِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the for every action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has been undertaken, he is the one that desires the action, or he wills the action. فَلَا مَوْجُودٌ. So nothing exists. إِلَّا وَهُوَ مُسْتَنِدٌ إِلَى مَشِيئَتِهِ. Nothing exists in this realm except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the source of its coming into being, its remaining into being, its disappearance from the realm of being. وَصَادِرٌ عَنْ إِرَادَتِهِ. And it proceeds from his will. فَهُوَ الْمُبْدِئ. He is the beginner, or rather he is the source of everything that happens. And he is the one whose will is not, let's say, frustrated. So nothing proceeds in the realm of mankind and in the realm of the angelic beings, either little or a lot. Yes, either little or a lot, in the sense that the flowing of rivers and oceans, but also the flowing of and the falling down of rain. But at the same time, even the drop of dew in the morning, however little that may seem, except that it is willed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, even the cracks in the mountains, yes, and the cracks in the sand, and even every seed, yes, as it proceeds in the principle of growth. These are all min mashi'atillah. These are all from the desire and will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether it be good or bad in the judgment of mankind. Yes, whether it be beneficial or harmful in the judgment of mankind. Yes, whether it be the faith of a person or the disobedience of a person, whether it be that which leads to the success of the person or the perdition of the person, whether it be obedience or disobedience, all of this happens in the qada and qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the irada, in the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and hukum, and the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa mashi'ah, and the desire and will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills happens, and whatever He does not will shall not. Yes. In other words, this is why, yes, the effect of this in the believer is it is the production of the experience of rida. Yes, contentment, knowing that the administrator of the world, the one who foresees the affairs of the world, is all-knowing, that He is all-merciful and kind. So therefore, we submit to all the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we do not experience, we do not act with something impatiently. We bear with patience that which we do not know the wisdom behind. We bear patiently that which we cannot content ourselves with. Those of a higher maqam, though, they are content with whatever that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has predetermined. They are content by knowing the Lord of the universe. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Yes, that's why one of the prayers taught by the Prophet is also part and parcel of Wirdul Latif. Yes, Allahumma ma asbahabi min ni'matin aw bi ahadin min khalqik. Yes, oh my Lord, yes, whatever that whatever ni'mah, yes, whatever blessing, whatever grant or whatever gift that you have given me, or any of your creation, I'll be ahadin min khalqik, any of your creation, yes, asbahabi min ni'matin aw bi ahadin min khalqik minka. They are all from you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wahdak, yes, you in your uniqueness. La sharika lak, there is no partners. Meaning to say there is no one who shares in the giving of that, in the determining and the portioning out of that gift. Yes, wahdaka la sharika lak. Yes, falakal hamdu wa lakal shukru ala dhalik. And I give you praise and I give you thanks over that. And this dua is said to be one of the most powerful cures if you suffer from hasad, if you suffer from envy, which is excruciating, which devours the your good actions, or rather which devours your ajr, your reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you do not like the feeling that you should envy someone, should be repeating this dua a lot. Yes, because hasad, yes, envy is the feeling of unease, the feeling of hatred, yes, over a ni'mah, over a blessing that is given to another person. It's a very, it's a very hyena sickness. Nobody likes to be described by this. That's why Shaykh Hamza Yusuf always repeats the hikam. He said that it's derived from the novel Billy Budd. He said that a person is more willing or will first admit to heinous crimes before he begins to admit that he is envious. Yes, because envy is ugly. Yes, and to treat it, yes, it requires knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's portioning out of goodness in the world. Now, that which follows from this is his attribute of power, qudrah. Yes, there is a distinction between willing and power. Yes, will is the desire for the existence of something or its non-existence, or the performance of something, its non-performance. That's irada. Yes, a person may have irada. And look at the arrangement of subhanallah, Ahmad bin Zein al-Habsyi. He begins with life. And then upon life is established knowledge. Why is that? Yes, because first, knowledge is inconceivable without life. So therefore, life takes precedence. And then after that, he speaks about knowledge. And then murid, yes, or irada, the desire to things. Because if a person has irada but has no knowledge, Allahu Akbar, then that person cannot be said to be a wise person, nor can that person can be described with perfection. Yes? Can you imagine a person who wills without knowledge? Allahu Akbar. Many of the things that he will lead to regret. Yes. Imagine yourself, yes, in the exam room, and yourself, objective questions with choices 1 to 4. You have the will, yes, to answer the question, but you have no knowledge. So what do? Yes, either you will circle all 4, or you rely on chance, isn't it? And that's impossible to be predicated of a person who is a knowledgeable man. What more of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So therefore, the arrangement, yes, begins with knowledge followed by irada. Yes, because a person who has knowledge will then, out of his encompassing knowledge, he wills out of that knowledge that whose existence will in the totality lead to perfection, or that which will glorify him further. Yes, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, yusabbihu lahu ma fis samawati wal ard. In the orchestra of creation, everything glorifies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think to Shaykh Hamza Fatsuri, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like a human person. A lady who looks at the mirror, if she sees that the arrangement is not to her liking, then she changes the color of the cheeks, yes, or she heightens certain aspects, or she trims certain aspects. So that means to say the action in human beings follows a state that you do not know what is good as yet, and then you change this, and then you change that, but you do not see in the realm of creation things of that nature, isn't it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates with a perfect knowledge. And this is why this is also one of the metaphysical reasons to reject the theory of evolution, because the theory of evolution philosophically assumes that there is no knower, there is no knowledge behind creation. It's just blind chance leading one organism, and then that organism tries and through trials and error survives, and survivability is the principle, changes that being into another being, and then so on and so forth within the logic of evolutionary theory. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he creates with perfect knowledge. Yes, of course, there is something that appears to be similar in that there is an unfolding of creation. At some point, he creates these beings, and then another point, he creates another being. Yes, but we do not predicate of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this learning curve that over time, yes, let us say over time, the mangoes today became better than the mangoes as it was begun. No. Yes, the seeds became smaller or softer and so on. No, that's all the dispensation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reveal what he chooses to reveal and to conceal what he chooses to conceal. Now, certainly the irada, yes, must perceive power, which is qudrah in this arrangement. Not all scholars do this, of course. Some scholars have a different principle of arrangement. Here, Imam Ahmad bin Zein al-Habsyi, yes, after knowledge and desire, arranges for power to come. Yes, because after having, so let us say that knowledge is the biggest category, because it encompasses Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge of all things, whether it be possible, impossible, or that which can come into existence. The irada is his willing for something to happen. The qudrah is the power that accompanies the willing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Innama amruhu idha arada shay'an an yaqula lahu kun fayakun. Indeed, his affair is such, were he to desire or were he to will something into existence from non-existence, then he commands it. Yes, he commands it. Yes, and the meaning of this lahu, to eat, what does this refer to? Yes, this is different discussion according to the metaphysicians. Some say it is the it is the permanent essences, yes, and so on, yes. But these are all his ma'lumat, these are all known to him. So he says be, and then it becomes, yes. So his action, his power, yes, accompanies his will in that it brings things into the realm of existence. يَتَأْتِ بِهَا إِيجَادُ كُلِّ مُمْكِنٍ وَإِعْدَامُ. So the attribute of power when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the power to bring ijad. Ijad is to give existence. Kulli mumkinin, yes, over all things which are possible or its impossibility. Now think about ourselves. Which dua? Oh yes, okay. It is from the Wirdul Latif. Inshallah, if you have the Wirdul Latif of Imam Haddad, it is amongst the last dua there. But inshallah, maybe Hussein can share it in the group later. So now, with regards to the attribute of power, yes, ijadu kulli mumkinin wa i'dam. So things, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't will, would remain in the realm of non-existence. Yes, would remain there without ever smelling, without ever even having a whiff of existence. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deems us worthy, yes, to exist. So therefore, our existence, since it is already pure good, yes, wujud, huwa khairun mahad. It is on its own goodness. Yes, only on its own to exist is already good. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deems us worthy to subsist within this temporal existence. وَعِدَامُهُ عَلَى وَفْقِ الْإِرَادَةِ. It will be in the agreement of the iradah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As what he wills is that which comes into being. Imam al-Ghazali said, لِأَنَّ الْعَالَمَ مُحْكَمْ فِي صِفَاتِهِ مُرَتَّبْ فِي خِلْقَتِهِ وَمَنْ رَأَى ثَوْبًا مِنْ دِيبَاجِ حُسْنٍ إن ميت لا استطاع له أو أن إنسان لا قدرة له كان منخلعا عن عزيزة العقل ومنخرطا في سلك أهل الغباوة والجهال. Again, Imam al-Ghazali said that since everything follows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rule and it is arranged according to his creation, yes, so therefore everything that happens, yes, happens along Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qudrah. Okay, what is the time now? We have about 20 minutes. It's good if we can have a round of discussions or questions if you have any.
Jazakumullah khair, Ustaz. Yeah, inshallah, let us hear if any one of you has got questions to ask. Maybe either you just speak directly or you can type in through the chat box.
Ustaz, may I ask the sifat ma'ani?
Yes.
I don't really get it just now. If it's in bahasa sifat wujud bila terbuka hijab kita, sifat ma'ani.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
So that's one of the descriptions of sifat ma'ani. Because the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jami'ah, Imam Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari describes that these sifat, these attributes are real. Yes, these attributes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should unveil himself to us, and unveiling here refers to the belief in possibility of the possibility through our akal and the necessity through syara' of the beatific vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ru'yatullah, ru'yatul haq ta'ala in the yawmul qiyam. So we say, since we affirm that the vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a necessity or is part and parcel of our aqidah. So during the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we would also perceive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes. Yes, together with his essence. Yeah. However, look at this. Yes, when we speak about the sifat ma'an, positive attributes, it's already, even as it refers to human beings, these attributes are abstract in nature. They are not things that we can see, touch, feel, or hear. Only effects of these attributes can be seen even in this realm. Yeah? Let us say the person we say has power, but where is his power? Is the power in his hands? The power in, in his command or in his speech? The power is not seen. The nature of power is abstract. But we know that a person is powerful because if he has power, we see that he let us say, under someone's power or something like that. We can know also a person knowledgeable or not based on the effects. Yes, either his speech, his actions will reveal to us whether or not he has knowledge. So likewise with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Yes, but the ingenious way of the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jamaah or Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari is to predicate of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala all these predications without specifying how they are. Yes, how they are without specifying what they look like. Yes, because it is not the category of things that is under the purveyance or under our sight. Yes, under our hearing. But we know that the effects of that reveals to us that he possesses these attributes. That's why it is said by one of the descriptions, according to the Sifat Uluh, if you study that out, yes, or if you study the works of the Ash'ari category, or rather the Ash'ari textual system, then you will find that one of the descriptions, in order to prove the truth, they say that it will be, the Sifah will be known to us once it is unveiled to us. But nevertheless, even without the unveiling, that's why Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, Karamallahu wajh, he said that even if they were to be removed from me, yes, it will not add to my certainty. It will not add to my certainty. Meaning to say, my knowledge will not be added because I affirm properly that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala exists, that He is knowledgeable, and so on. What the unveiling will increase, of course, as Imam al-Ghazali would write in his book of Tasawwuf, the unveiling will be the ultimate gift, yes, to our spirit, because there is something of what is called istihdar, yes, because you can imagine Prophet Musa salam, when he looks at the burning fire, yes, as the source of the sound of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. It is from the burning fire that he hears the words, Innani anallahu ilaha illa ana. Indeed, I am Allah. There is no other Lord other than me. There is no other Lord than me. Certainly, Prophet Musa has, not even an instant thought that fire is Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Yes, but he sees, or it's as if his heart sees through the veil of what he hears, as the heart sees through the veil of what he hears, that behind it is Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who possesses the attribute of perfection in speech. But what he desires is to see Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Yes, meaning to say that the love that the servant of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, depending on his ma'rifah, yes, increase considerably depending on his ma'rifah. Yes, so that's why in the prolegomena, in the chapter on the intuition of existence, I think perhaps it was Dhul Nun al-Misri, yes, who said, that the purport of the statement is that, the knowledge of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala over and above everyone else, suffers the pain of separation from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Yes, meaning to say, it is not the ignorant, because the ignorant does not know what they are missing. Yes, as Shakespeare, I suppose, was the one who said that it is better to have loved and lost rather than to have never loved at all. Yes, to have loved and lost means that your heart has understood the principle of recognition of the beloved, and then understood the hijab, yes, and these are part and parcel of the states that the Sufis or the Salik, yes, when they approach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will experience times such as this. It is called, in some of the terminologies, they describe it as al-fatrah, a period in which they do not experience, they no longer experience, let us say, the pleasure of the converse or ibadah. So that means there is a stage, yes, from time as they proceed along the path of knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, yeah, so this is basically to enhance, yes, that we're not studying Tawheed, yes, for the sake of cognition. It's not just for philosophical, philosophical contemplation. What Aristotle thought was the highest happiness. According to Aristotle, he said the highest form of happiness is contemplation of philosophical truths. He has nothing, yes, if he says that, because the highest form of happiness is ru'yatullah fil akhirah. Ru'yatullah fil akhirah. But in this world, it is ma'rifatullah, knowledge of Allah. And ma'rifah when we speak about ma'rifah, from the word arrafa, to impose limits upon it, to specify something, the more you know that something, especially if that thing unveils, or that being unveils his beauty to us gradually, the aspects of beauty. Since we affirm the reality of the attributes, we understand that Allah is the source of all beauty. And one of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is as-salam. Subhanallah, just this description, we know that it is not of human making. If he predicates of himself as salam, that means he is free from any imperfection, free from any lacking. We know of any beautiful thing on earth, since it is a mere reflection of that which is most beautiful and possesses but a tiny portion of that, or rather just a whiff of that. Not even a whiff, perhaps. I mean, a smaller percentage of that whiff. Yes. Imagine the source of all that beauty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, and of his beings, the one that he has endowed with the most beauty is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I suppose it's good also that you have started with this question. There are no other questions. It's a beautiful reminder about the coming of the month of Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that in the first night of Ramadan, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be looking. Yes, will be looking at his creation. And whoever he looks at, he will never punish. Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at, la yu'adhibuhu abada. Yes, meaning to say, whoever is worthy of receiving the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Allah should deem you worthy of being seen by him, you are worthy also of his mercy. You are worthy also of his love, because that is the love that is, and it's up to him. He's the sovereign. He's all powerful, isn't it? Within a kingdom, let us say a king who is the source of all legislation, who is, let's say, an absolute monarch within a kingdom. He may say that I deem for this kingdom, whoever works for 10 hours, yes, will be given, let us say, will be given a stipend for the rest of their life once they reach old age. Well, that's equal for the kings. The rest of the kingdom will be happy. But what if the king should be, yes, amongst the inhabitants of that kingdom, someone or some of them that he loves? He said, no, for you, I would like to give a special endowment. Rather, you never have to work for the rest of your life. All of your life, your sustenance will be upon me. That's the right of the king also. And that's the specialty of the month of Ramadan. The first night, yes. This is not to speak of Laylatul Qadr, yes. This is not to speak of Laylatul Qadr. It's not just that first night, just waiting for the first night of Ramadan. where are we? You know, where are we as Ramadan approaches? Are we waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see us or not? And what will be our condition when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is seeing us? If we can see ourselves as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to endow the realm of creation with his sight, as if we can see ourselves, would we be deemed, worthy of that sight or not? Yes, so that's why, this mercy will encompass all according to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except for those, who remain in a state of shahna, who has hatred over his fellow Muslims, qati'ur rahim, those who cut off ties of kinship, except for those who remain in a state of ma'siyah, their hearts or their actions, they persist in drinking khamar, they persist in zina and so on. For the rest, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that's why a condition of ihsan according to the Prophet is to worship as if you see him, and if not, then to know that he sees you. Yes. So inshallah, prepare ourselves. As bathe, as some of the scholars said, bathe, look your best, be fresh, be waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you very much, Ustaz, for the lessons for today's class as well, and for the reminders of Ramadan. May we get benefits from all this. Are we allowing a few more questions? I mean, 1 or 2 questions?
Yeah. Well, we can, if there are any more questions or comments, ahlan wa sahlan, because I thought, we might be pausing this for an entire month. So if there are any, then please. If there isn't, it's okay also. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Khair Ustaz, jazakumullahu khair again for everything. Inshallah, we hope to see you again after Ramadan, during Shawwal, inshallah, maybe. And yeah, I mean, I said before we're gonna have 8 sessions, but I think it's never gonna be enough with 8 sessions. So let us see, maybe we can continue for a whole year, inshallah. Can we end the session with your dua, Ustaz?
Inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Al-Fatiha bil qabul wa tamami kulli su'lin wa ma'mul wa salahi sha'ni zahira wa batina siddin dunya wal akhirah. Dafi'atan li kulli sharrin jalibatan li kulli khairin lana wa li ahbabina wa li walidina wa li awladina wa dhabil huquqi alayna. وخصوصا بنية أن الله ينور قلوبنا وقوالبنا مع التقى والهدى والعفاف والغنى والموت على دين الإسلام والإيمان بلا محنة ولا امتحان. وخصوصا بنية أن الله يبارك لنا في هذه رمضان، يبلغنا رمضان ويبارك لنا فيه في أيامه ولياله، وبأن الله يجعلنا من الذين قام برمضان إيمانا، يعني تصديقا به واحتسابا، يعني خشوعا له، استقامة في العبادة، وبأن الله يرزقنا شيء من ليلة القدر، من آخر ليلة القدر، وأن الله يرزقنا المغفرة ورحمة وعتق من النار، وأن الله ينظر إلينا بنظرة الرحمة، بأن الله ينظر إلينا بنظرة الرحمة، بأن الله ينظر إلينا بنظرة الرحمة، يحفظنا وأحبابنا، وأن الله يختم لنا بالحسنى، وأن الله يرزقنا محبة له ومحبة لدينه ومحبة لأحبائه ومحبة لنبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وبأن الله يجعل آخر كلمتنا كلمة لا إله إلا الله، أن الله يتقبل منا قيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا ودعاءنا على هذه النية ولكل نية صالحة، وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم بسر الأسرار الفاتحة. Inshallah. Thank you, everyone. If you're all available, we will meet, inshallah, on Saturday. You have to find out from the fellows or to register. Inshallah.
Thank you, Ustaz. InsyaAllah. We'll see you on Saturday then. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Kalau kita. Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih Ustaz. Ramadan Karim.
wabarakatuh.
Amin. The same, insyaAllah.
Bye.